Okay, and the last question of the non-calculator paper. Okay, ball is kicked from a cliff top. Quite exciting looking kick there, a lot of effort. The height h meters of the ball relative to the cliff top after 3 seconds is given by this formula. Calculate the height of the ball after 2 seconds. And again, without any real thinking, okay, there's an equation. Calculate the height, which is h, after 2 seconds. Okay, that is the relevant information here. Okay, again, this is just how the SQA dress up a parabola type question. Okay, so yep, there's our equation, and let's solve for that. Okay, so we're going to calculate the height. So we need to work out the height after 2 seconds. So we're going to do 12 times 2, and we're going to take away 5, 2 squared. So there's only one mark, so we can't really make any mistakes here, and it's quite straightforward. 12 times 2, 24. This is the only part I suppose you could maybe struggle with. Remember, BIDMAS, BOMDAS, whatever, you want to do your index, you want to do the squared term first. Okay, so 2 squared is 4 times by 5, it's going to give you 20. So 24 take away 20, it's going to give you 4 meters. Okay, so yeah, that should be 1 mark for doing that. The only tricky bit, I think, is known to do that. I can see some people doing 5 times 2 and then squaring it. Again, you could look at our answer and think it's a sensible looking answer. If you ended up with 1,000 meters or minus 200 meters, you've probably made a mistake, haven't you? Okay, so again, in the context of the question, does this make sense? It does make sense. Okay. The next question, I'm just going to rewrite my equation down here. Was it 12t minus 5t squared? Okay, so the next part of the question is a bit harder. So I get a 4 mark question, one of the harder questions on the paper. Okay, bit of problem solving. So that's the graph. Okay, so we see here this line here is the same as this line here. Okay, so suddenly we've now got an expression and a graph for the ball. Okay, here's the sea level. So it's 17 meters below the cliff top, i.e. minus 17 meters. That's where it stops. Okay, that's where the ball hits the water. So how many seconds will it take for the ball to hit the sea? Okay, so we know our expression. This time we actually know what h is, but we don't know what t is. Okay, so first of all we can rewrite our expression. Okay, we can say, well, when h is minus 17, it's going to be 12t minus 5t squared. So right away, that's us. We're cooking with gas, we've started. Now let's just try and tidy that up into something a bit more mathematical. Okay, why don't we put all our terms onto one side? So we'll call this 0, and we'll move the 17 over. So we'll get 12t minus 5t squared plus 17 because we're doing the opposite. Okay, now again, this is starting to look familiar, isn't it? This is starting to look like quadratic. Okay, now let's put our terms in order of indices. Okay, so let's say minus 5t squared plus 12t plus 17 is equal to 0. This is, to me, that looks, I'm happy with that. Okay, and at this point, I think I would change my signs. Okay, I would just times everything by minus 1. Okay, so I get 5t squared minus 12t minus 17. Okay, that's should be looking familiar. Okay, now if we want to work out what t is, we're going to need to factorize. Okay, now because we've got the 5 in here, it's not as simple as our usual. Usually if you had x squared plus x plus a number, you'd be looking to see what factors add to give you this number and multiply to give you this, but it doesn't quite work when you've got a 5 here. We can't just divide everything by 5. If they all had the same, if this was a 2 and these were divisible by 2, divide through by 2. We can't do that. So it's actually a little bit of kind of trial and error. So like I did before, I quite like when I have a little table when I'm doing these things, okay? Just like this. So I know that the term here and here, and the term here and here, and they'll multiply to give me four terms. These two will add together. Okay? So I'm just going to assume that's my starting point, okay? Because that's going to give me 5t squared. Okay, it can't really be anything else. Yeah? Because it's if this was another number, if this was 10, then this could be 5 and 2, 10 and 1, the different options, hence trial and error. But for this, that's kind of our only option, really. Okay, so that's my start of my bracket. So first bracket and the second bracket. But minus 17 as well, so that's quite a good number because, again, there's no factors there as prime. Okay, so I'm just going to guess that, let's call that minus 17 over here. And then plus 1 over here to give me minus 17. Okay, so far that's correct. Now I just need to see if these two terms fall into place. So minus 17t and 5t. Add them together, we get minus 12. So that's good. But what we could have had in there was plus 17 and minus 1. They should have given us the right answer here, but the wrong answer here. And then we'd know just to flip the signs. Okay, so that's looking good to me. So I know my brackets then are going to be 5t minus 17 and t plus 1. So to solve that, well, that's t is equal to minus 1. And for this, it's going to be t is equal to 17 divided by 5. Okay. So in my solver, we're just really saying, because we said it's equal to 0, if one of these brackets is 0, the whole thing becomes 0. So if that's equal to 0, t plus 1 is equal to 0, therefore t is minus 1. 5t minus 17 is 0, so therefore t is equal to 17 over 5. Now looking at this, that's the two answers. Now the two answers kind of assume that the graph actually continues on down here, isn't it? Okay, so that t minus 1 is actually over here. Yeah, that'd be the minus 1, and that would be the 17 over 5. Now, we can't have minus 1 seconds, that's why this part of the graph isn't shown, but I'll just show that with full. Yeah, so we can't have minus 1 seconds, we know that's an invalid answer, so our answer has got to be 17 over 5. Now again, I would just rewrite that as, say, therefore, 17 over 5 seconds. I think in this question, you're not getting penalised for the units. I think even it mentions not penalising you for trying to decimalise it or anything, that would be okay. So yeah, final answer 17 over 5 seconds. The point is to not show both answers. If you show both answers, you're losing a mark because you've not really understood what's going on. Okay, so to summarise that up, you're substituting your minus 17, you're rearranging into a quadratic. The minute you see parabolas, you're thinking quadratics, okay? If you've got to solve them, you're thinking factorising. And this particular one was a little bit trickier than some other ones, but it's just your trial and error, okay? So that got us started. That was quite straightforward. And then we just made sure the middle section made sense, okay? So, in terms of marks, marking scheme will say we'll get a mark for this first step. Very good. Once we rearrange and equate to 0, we'll get another mark. Once we put our factorising in, that's a mark in there. And then our final answer gives us another mark. Okay, so not the easiest question to finish off on, but effectively, it's just a fancily dressed up parabola question. Okay, and a bit of factorising. So yeah, not shouldn't be too difficult. If you're struggling with any of these questions, because of YouTube, I had to split them into question by question because I can only do so long a video. But yeah, go back to your book, have a look, have a think, and if you've got any questions, feel free to put it in the discussion forum. And if you spot any mistakes in any of these or any other ideas on how to solve them, please feel free to post or get in touch. So thanks very much for watching, and I hope that was useful.